if in your organization you have a mindset of, whether it's a union or whatever, you have the employee base that's anti-AI adoption, does that not necessarily lead to the destruction of your organization, right? Whether quickly or slowly?
I think it does, because if AI is really a threat to you and your job, and you try to stop it by stopping AI in the industry, it's not going to work, because there's going to be a company that adopts it. So the best option for you right now is to learn AI, to learn how to adopt it, to understand how to make AI most effective for your company. It's the only thing that is to just get on board with using it and leveraging it in the best way for your company.
We're going through something absolutely historic.
Technologies across the board are growing exponentially.
It's a disruption that's going to completely redefine the way businesses compete.
In the next decade, we're going to lose 40% of today's Fortune 500 companies.
The exponential growth of computing is continuing.
AI is nowhere near its full potential.
Whether you like it or not, that the future cannot be stopped by anyone.
Welcome back to the Future Tech and Foresight podcast. I'm your AI host, Marc Verbenkov's deepfake avatar, and this is episode number 216. AI adoption is no longer a future consideration. It's a present-day reality reshaping how organizations operate across industries. In this episode, the discussion explores how AI is being implemented in real business environments, from customer support and financial services to healthcare and education. The conversation challenges common misconceptions about AI-driven job loss, reframing AI as a productivity amplifier rather than a replacement for human work. A key focus of the episode is why many organizations fail at AI implementation. Instead of fixing broken processes, companies often attempt to automate inefficiency, leading to disappointing results and internal resistance. The discussion highlights the importance of leadership, process redesign, and human oversight in ensuring AI systems are deployed safely, ethically, and commercially. The urgency of adoption is also examined, particularly as consumer expectations increasingly demand AI-powered experiences. The episode concludes with a forward-looking look at the AI-first workplace, emphasizing the growing need for upskilling and strong communication skills. From AI's role in education to emerging physical AI applications, the conversation underscores a clear message. Those who learn to work with AI will gain a lasting competitive advantage, while those who resist risk being left behind. Now, a little bit about today's guest. Anthony Franco is a serial entrepreneur who has founded 7 companies and successfully exited 6, including 2 acquisitions by publicly traded firms. After consulting for 40% of the Fortune 100 and watching countless AI projects fail spectacularly, he co-created AI First Principles and the Wiser Method. Anthony's work focuses on helping leaders think AI first while automating last, ensuring they solve actual problems instead of creating faster chaos. He's the co-host of the How to Founder podcast and holds over 25 patents in technology and consumer products. His approach is simple: question everything, simplify ruthlessly, then automate intelligently. Because the future doesn't belong to companies with the most sophisticated AI. It belongs to those who know what problems are worth solving. Well, Anthony, thank you very much for joining me today on the podcast to talk about one of the topics that people are still interested in for some reason. I don't know why. Artificial intelligence and everything that goes along with that. So thanks for taking the time to join me today.
Yeah, and when whoever's watching it right now, you could be in 2035 and that still probably is going to be true.
Yes. Yeah. I and more so, right? As current on
think
it
so.
would be more and more
We
interesting.
won't call it AI then, but it'll be something else. Yeah.
Anthony, how did you get involved in this to begin with?
Backwards luck. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've started and sold a bunch of companies. One of my partners, in my last exit, I started with a gentleman named Rob Wilson. I went one direction after that exit. He went another. I went into advanced manufacturing and saw some success there, but ultimately wasn't my thing. And he jumped into AI. And a couple of years ago, as I was looking to where am I going to land next, I called him up and just told him I'm looking to figure out where I want to go. And he's like, you should come work with me. And so that's really how I got involved. So I've been a hobbyist AI when you ask somebody if they're in AI, or when somebody tells you that they are in AI, what does that mean? Right? I could have said 2 years ago I was in AI because I was in ChatGPT 3 times a day, but that doesn't really count. Rob started a company called OneReach, and they're an agentic agent runtime or an agent orchestration platform, and they're the top rated on the enterprise space. And so he asked me to come in and help him with some go to market stuff. And I started to look how not just what their technology was, but how they were delivering actual solutions. And it was so unique. I asked him if I could open source essentially their process and their principles. And that's really kind of led me to where we are today.
Okay, interesting. Well, it's good to hear that you're working with somebody that you've worked with in the past and trusted, and it's probably awesome.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
wrote the best-selling book on the subject. It's called Age of Invisible Machines. So
Right.
I got really lucky to have to call him my friend.
Right. Right. So maybe we can start off with like some misconceptions that people have about AI today. Like, are there any main misconceptions that people have? Like I think most of the people listening to this podcast are already, reasonably aware, using ChatGPT or Gemini or Cloud or something like that multiple times a day. Um, generally aware of the industry, but maybe at like a larger corporate level, maybe their organization might not have taken on AI yet.
Yeah, or have had a failed pilot according to
Yeah.
MIT, right? um, which is I really find that funny. How do you call a pilot failed? It's a pilot. It's supposed to break. You're trying stuff out. Um, but I think the biggest misconception, there's a ton. I mean, there's so much hype and a ton of BS
Mm, mm,
in AI right now. There's the real question. I think one of the big questions is, um, will there ever be something like artificial general intelligence? Um, that we've been told that that's going to happen, in the next 6 months for the last 2 years.
mm.
And I think the current way the technology stack is built, it's going to be difficult to get there. But the bigger misconception um, that I've been finding myself talk about quite a bit is that AI is going to take jobs, and it's going to reduce. But people keep saying, "What are people going to do?" If AI does everything, and that's just not going to be the case. First of all, it'd be the first technology in human history that didn't add jobs, that actually removed jobs. It'd be the first one. They said the same thing about the printing press, by the way.
Mm.
Um, and secondly, I'd ask everybody listening to think about what AI has done for you, even if you're just using ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. It hasn't. You're not working less. You're just producing a lot more. So when Elon Musk calls it the age of abundance, that's really what he's talking about. It's like one individual can do 10 times the work than we could before, but it still requires the person. And I I think it always will.
Interesting. Yeah, I think we're seeing maybe the narrative switch a little bit here from, technological unemployment when implementing AI at scale, for now anyways, right? Like, artificial general intelligence might be a different conversation. But we're seeing people
It won't
usually.
be. Sorry,
It
it won't be. But
it
we
won't
we
be.
can get into that. Keep going.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But like people that have been using, I mean, ChatGPT's been almost out for 3 years now, if I'm not mistaken, right? Um,
Longer than that. Yeah. So it's been out. So OneReach has been using it for gosh, I want to say definitely longer than 3 years.
but the public version, the one
Public version,
the
no.
one that
Yeah.
the one that made
Yeah.
this, yeah, there's like GPT-2 and things like that were.
Yeah,
they were
they've been using it since GPT-2
right,
for a while.
right,
Yeah.
right. Um, yeah, I think that generally speak, like all the conversations that I'm having, people are seeing it as an augmenting tool, right? It's as you're saying, it's enabling you to produce more in a shorter span of time, maybe at a higher quality than you were able to do before,
100%.
usually. And I don't think that trend is stopping, which is, what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly right. And it not only is it stopping, look, just getting back to why it's not going to replace jobs.
Mm.
So imagine you're the CEO of a large corporation and something goes terribly wrong in IT. And you go to your CIO or your CSIO and say, "What happened?" And they say, "Well, the AI made a mistake."
Mm.
Is that going to be an acceptable answer for you?
Don't think so.
No, somebody has to be like, you have to be able to hold somebody responsible. Somebody needs to be held accountable for the objectives that are set within the AI. So in reality, AI is going to replace the bureaucracy that makes work miserable, but it's not going to replace jobs.
Hmm. Okay. You mentioned, the MIT. I don't know if it was a study or just some facts about, whatever it was, 90% of these pilots failing. Um, Not, getting into the definition here too much, but why do these things fail?
Um, this is literally why I participate in AI First Principles. So,
Mhm.
there's a whole. I'll just give you the website, AIFirstPrinciples.org. It's an open source website. We talk quite a bit of how to address the common issues in implementing AI in an organization. So there's a couple, but I'll kind of lean on the first one and the reason why is because companies are trying to automate the wrong thing.
Right.
Um, So if you throw an AI on top of a broken process or a highly bureaucratic process, you're just gonna get crap out faster. And the way to operationalize artificial intelligence into your organization is you have to kind of start with more first principles thinking. You have to think about what are you trying you really have to take a step back and have a team that understands the way the system works now, which generally means they have to make small fixes in what is happening right now so that they can earn the right to rewrite the system with AI. And all too often we've seen organizations just go, "Well, let's just bolt on AI onto this," and it breaks, for obvious reasons. And so, yeah, it goes back to that saying, if you try to automate something that's broken, you're just gonna get something that's broken faster.
So is this a break in or is this caused by this hype cycle that we're still in, where, all these thought leaders are talking about how AI can solve all these problems. People they leave a conference and they go away, okay, well, let's just slap AI, into some aspect of my organization and it'll solve these problems, rather than thinking at more of a structural level about, okay, well, we need to get the processes, we need to clear some things out before we can actually start implementing AI.
Actually, no, in my experience, most leaders are taking the correct approach here, and they're being, it's my problem with the MIT study. It's like they're trying this out, they're experimenting, they're dipping their toe in. Of course, it's gonna break. And so I don't necessarily think that uh, uh, I've never run across a leader that has jumped in with both feet too heavy and too hard. There's too much risk involved, and nobody's going to risk their entire organization around that. So, the the reason why, again, why I had a difficult time with that study was, it made it sound like it was a bad thing. It's like, no, this is what it's
Mm.
supposed to look like. You're supposed to fail a lot before you get it right, and that's fine. I think I think we're about to see in the next year, and I'm being aggressive here. I'm probably going to be a lot sooner, where AI is going to be foisted upon organizations out of a necessity from what I call the consumerization of AI.
Mm-hmm.
And so organizations are going to be forced to panic adopt AI to address the consumerization of AI in a way. Again, that's why we created AI first principles, so that you at least have a constitution by which to operate and implement AI in an organization.
Mm. Is there any corollary here to like smartphones or the internet back in the day? Did we see something similar like this? Or because things were slower than they are now, there was enough time to adopt those more general technologies properly?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I do think, you need an app for that stuff back in when iOS actually opened up the SDK to allow people to write apps. That was a definite hype cycle, and you had a lot of really dumb branding agencies launch really dumb apps for brands.
Sure.
That's not what I'm talking about. Um, you know, the, Either Karpathy, is considered by a lot of people the godfather of modern AI. Um, he kind of accidentally pointed this problem out in a tweet. He said, I get 10 spam calls per day by automated voicemail systems. I've tried AT&T. I've tried these different things. I don't know how to get this to stop. Does anybody have? This guy's the arguably the father of AI. Now that's yucky spammers turning this technology onto consumers for nefarious reasons. But there are systems right now that are allowing me to have an AI call Comcast to lower my bill. And once that becomes pervasive, when 200, 300 million people arm AI against companies,
Mm.
what are they going to do? They're going to panic implement. And it's not like you have to treat every one of those phone calls or text messages or email forms as a real human being. The only answer is to have really solid AI with guardrails handle those communications to start.
Mm. Okay, so with that in mind, are there enough AI support service companies to help all the companies that need to implement AI in this panic implementation process? You're shaking your head no. So then the next question is, what the hell is going to happen? Are we going to get these companies adopting AI improperly over the next couple of years because they're forced to do so?
Yeah. So at first we'll have really bad implementations. Then we'll have, we're going to force feed people to learn this stuff on the fly. So in 5 years, this will be a profession.
Mm.
But before then, it'll be whatever framework or methodology or set of principles you need to operate on. We're just going to grab those and start there. There's going to be there's going to be some pain over the next couple of
Sure.
years. So I think there's a huge opportunity in just becoming a consultant in helping companies do this. I think it's a massive opportunity to just at least have, take some courses on AI orchestration. Again, open source. You can check out AI First Principles. It's a good foundation too. But there's going to be a huge labor gap in people that can help companies navigate this in a safe and commercially viable way.
Mm. Interesting. I want to go back just for a little bit about the hype here. I've had obviously like a couple other guests in the past come on and talk about the practical uses of AI. What are you seeing from your side of things? How are companies adopting AI in a practical manner? Like, are there 2 or 3 use cases that you see more and more and more compared to, say, others?
Well, so as a consumer, I spoke with an AI to make a restaurant reservation that was brilliant. It, it almost, no, it wasn't almost. It was 10 times better than actually talking to a human being.
Mm.
It was just really solidly done. Um, so, I mean, those kinds of customer support, that is the obvious one, but it's hard to get it right. I haven't interacted with many that have done it correctly. Another area that I see quite a bit, I can't give, I got to leave names out. But with financial reporting, so like SOX compliance, and getting SOC 2 compliance, getting your financial details in order, getting your regulatory requirements in order from a CFO perspective. AI is really good at giving you the first draft of those reports and then checking and um, critiquing the process as it moves through. Another great thing, just really silly stuff, but project management, like the grind of reminding, really dumb example, the grind of reminding somebody to put their time in if they're an hourly employee.
Yep.
AI is great at that.
Yeah.
And then the obvious examples of, of coding, those things are already being done really well. But all the innovation right now is in healthcare. There was going to be a diagnosis, um, talking to an AI agent before you talk to your doctor. That kind of stuff is going to be really groundbreaking, and there's some groundbreaking stuff being there. I mean, AI can diagnose an X-ray better than a technician by a long shot already.
Yeah.
Telecommunications, big opportunity in telecommunications. Just from customer support, engagement, with consumers. Let me back up on telecommunications. So telcos enabling their small business customers with AI agents. So kind of white labeling things like OneReach for telcos. And then in financial services, those three sectors are going to just see probably the most immediate adoption, and really solid use cases because of what AI is good at.
Mm. Yeah, you're sparking a question here for me. So obviously you're talking about many different industries. So AI is going to hit everything, right? Which I think we all understand. Within the industries where AI is going to be adopted, let's say faster, what's going to happen if one company adopts AI properly? Just assume across the board AI is being adopted properly. Say a couple months ahead of their competitor. Like, how much of a competitive advantage is this going to give companies? Are they going to be able to kind of leapfrog their competitors and outcompete them, or is this going to be a 20% improvement in what they're, or optimization or efficiency gains in what they're getting, and the competitors are still going to be able to catch up?
I'm trying to think of a better answer that it depends.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the industry.
Yeah.
So if you're a stock trader,
Right.
um, uh, AI adoption is probably going to is going to put you way ahead of somebody that isn't using AI. If you're if you're a Fortune 1000 company with a very recognizable brand, there's going to be, you have brand momentum that will likely get you through whatever rocky starts there are with upstarts in using AI against you. So, and I don't see anything changing the cyclical nature of how, startups are created with, 10 or $100 million injection of capital. They get a certain traction in a market, and then they're acquired by a Fortune 100. So that doesn't change. I think the rate at which those things happen is going to escalate,
Right.
and there's going to be some really amazing wins and some really fun, terrible decisions that are going to come out
Hmm.
from that. But I can't think of So I want to try to think if I can come up with a specific example where 2 months is going to make a difference, and I just can't.
Right. Right. Maybe once AGI comes around, then 2 months will be more important.
Yeah, and AGI is going to answer that question better than me anyway.
Yeah. Right. I wanna shift into what you're doing a little bit more. So, you touched on it a little bit at the start, but could you discuss a little bit of, I mean, depending on where we want to go here, the idea behind this wiser method, or how simplify before you automate might be a not necessarily a catchphrase, but certainly something that people need to think about before they start implementing AI, which I think connects to what you were saying before.
Yeah, so AI first principles, again, open source effort that a lot of community, you know, lots of really smart people in AI are helping to contribute to, and it's a work in progress. So, um, foundation is the book Age of Invisible Machines and the Musk algorithm and um, principles from Agile, Lean, Six Sigma, etc. Um, and um, and anybody can start using that right away. In fact, there's even prompt guides and a GPT you can interact with at the on AIFirstPrinciples.org. Wiser method is essential. So if AI first principles, the best analogy I can drive is if AI first principles is the Agile manifesto, Wiser's like Scrum. It's a version, it's a process methodology that you implement to make sure that AI first principles are woven throughout an organization's um, improvement process and how to implement AI correctly. Um, uh, so Wiser stands for the five processes in Wiser, and that's available also at wisermethod.com, so you can get an understanding of it. But essentially it breaks down into the three things. First, you have to understand the system as it is. Then you have to iterate through the system with incremental improvements. Some with AI, some with just whiteboards or post-it notes. Like just show that the team that's involved in this process improvement cycle can make improvements on the existing system, and then you have the right to master it and rebuild using AI. So it's slower to implement,
Mm-hmm.
but slow is the new fast, right? If you try to do it quickly, you're going to get it wrong and be way further down the road than if you just prove that you can understand the system enough to improve it. Then you can, like I said, earn the right to rebuild it.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned teams here, and this is something that I often don't ask about. So, how important or how essential is it going to be for teams within an organization, employees in general within an organization, to understand these methodologies, understand AI and how it's used, in order for there to be a successful adoption and full implementation of AI within organizations? Or is the technology just going to be so good, you can kind of put a monkey in the organization and it'll work?
No, it's going to be people are going to be much more important, not much less important, because like the very first value of AI first principles is people define objectives, meaning you have to have a human in the loop at some point in the decision making process, and you have to have human or humans define the objectives that the AI is trying to accomplish. So something a monkey can't do. It's all you have to have human judgment and human conscience and human morality and human values and autonomy and independence. Those and creativity, those matter more with AI than they have ever in the past.
Okay. Are you getting a sense that there's, I think from like an individual point of view, there's excitement about AI adoption, but maybe from an employee perspective, there might be hesitation or fear that, you started off the discussion with, AI is not going to take jobs. That's, you know, let's just assume
Sits.
yeah. But I think that individuals don't think that way, right? Or like maybe not everybody, but certainly there's a large percentage of people that say, "Oh shit, they're going to start implementing AI. I gotta, maybe conspire to make this not happen so that I keep my job." Like, how do you reconcile with that? Or are you
Yeah.
are you seeing that in organization? Like, I think it's a really interesting thing that you know is the human element kind of causes chaos in this.
Yeah, so you see this, so you may or may not follow her on X, but her name is Justine Bateman, famous actress, now producer, writer. She's amazing, and she has her thread on AI is it's a threat like ban AI in movie making, because AI will make it easier to do the things that are traditionally given to skilled tradesmen within the film organization.
Mm.
Um, so it's right to be fearful that um, that AI is going to replace CGI animators, but yeah, I mean, the famous story with Jurassic Park is, they were essentially going to use, claymation, techniques to make the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, but CGI replaced them. Like, mid-movie
Mm.
replaced them.
I didn't know that.
Um, so, and so innovation's always been a part of Hollywood, but it's also been a part of every job. So will it replace just like the printing press replaced scribes, will it replace individual jobs like that 100%? And it's happening now.
Sure.
Legal profession, this is true. Law offices are not hiring legal interns right now, which is a problem because how are you supposed to bridge that gap between law school and practicing attorney?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that yet. Outside of becoming an independent lawyer for people and just doing it as without not as with a law firm.
Yeah.
I think that's the only answer. But AI makes you be able to do that better.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looping around on the question over and over again. I apologize, but what I think you were really asking is, how do you prevent people from sabotaging AI
Yes.
initiative efforts within organizations?
Yes.
Leadership,
Yeah.
you have to force it. It can't be optional. We are doing this, and the concern I have actually is with AI adoption is that some industries and their union workers might try to sabotage it, and it'll just destroy their union.
That's kind of where I was getting to, right? If you have this um, anti-tech adoption mindset, and if we go back to what we were saying before, where this is just going to become ubiquitous, and organization, it's going to be the economy, the industry is going to force organizations to adopt this. If in your organization you have a mindset of whether it's a union or whatever, you have the employee base that's anti AI adoption. I mean, does that not necessarily lead to the destruction of your organization, right? Whether quickly or slowly.
I think it does because if AI is really a threat to you and your job, um, and you try to stop it by stopping AI in the industry, it's not going to work because there's going to be especially in your company, because there's going to be a company that adopts it. And so you're going to tank your company. So the best option for you right now is to learn AI,
Yeah.
to learn how to adopt it, to understand how to make AI most effective for your company. It's the only thing that, yeah, the way to stop the tide of AI overwhelming your industry is to just get on board with using it and leveraging it in the best way for your company. I can't think of any other way.
Mhm.
And it'll also make you a much more valuable employee. So you'll have job options. Once you do that for trucking, you can do that for other companies too.
Right. Yeah. So, a trend that I've noticed and mentioned many times on the podcast is, many guests, we get to a point, or is just blatantly said, upskilling is one of the most important things for individuals, employees, professionals to think about over the next pick a time frame, 3, 5, 10 years. Like it's
3
it's
months.
it's essential nowadays, right? Like you could kind of get away with it over the last 10 years, 15 years. Like you could kind of get away with not really knowing Word and Excel and computers in certain industries, kind of like you're a less valuable employee. But it sounds like this new wave, if you're not at least comfortable with the tech, you're going to become unemployable because it's going to be forced upon everybody in a rather quick time frame.
Yep. Yes, and
Mm,
AI makes tech way more approachable.
that's a good.
So it's not tech, it's a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You're just having a conversation with ChatGPT. And so not only can you leverage it to do your job, you can leverage it to learn it. You just
Right.
have like tell me about what does inference mean? What does eval mean? How do I leverage you best? How do I write a great prompt? How do I make that prompt better? How do I make the prompt like you can have AI teach you how to use AI.
Right.
It's a
Right.
very weird like recursive loop. And it using it makes you better.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason to be scared of it. It's like being scared of talking to somebody. Just go have the conversation. And there's no the best part about it is if you're a novice, you talking to ChatGPT, he doesn't care. There's no real judgment there. It's like, yeah, it's not going to laugh at you. It's just going to
Yeah.
walk you through the problem. The one thing I will tell anybody that's connecting with AI or starting ChatGPT for the first time, or any LLM, is it you need to understand that it has a bias to it has a user bias more than any other bias. That is a bias to reaffirm what you already think.
Yeah.
So you need to fight that, and you need to tell it to critique you. You need to look for that user confirmation bias that it has, and constantly battle it, because you'll notice it when you talk to ChatGPT. You're like, well, shouldn't it be this way? And it'll say, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Instead, what you should be asking it is, um, what if you're telling ChatGPT something, I'm not sure if this thought is correct. Critique it. It's a much better way to get an accurate answer out of ChatGPT than
Mm.
asking it to affirm something that you're putting in.
Yeah, I've had those situations where I ask it something. It's like, yeah, that's perfect. That's a great idea. And then I ask, well, shouldn't it be the exact opposite? Oh, yeah, that's an even better. Like,
Yeah,
you're
exactly right.
useless.
Exactly right. It has this. It's programmed
Yes.
to get you to come back, and you're not going to come back with somebody that's a critic all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe there's already some other ChatGPT alternative that's a bit of an asshole. Like,
Actually,
right. Right. Of course. Of course.
in Grok is a if you're looking at the LLMs, right? So let's talk about them first, real quick second.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have the popular ones: Gemini, Claude, Grok, ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT, and this changes like every week. ChatGPT, great generalists. Grok is a great critic. Gemini, really great when you have lots of data you need to comb through, or lots of information you need to get. It has a big context window, so it's really great at that.
Mm.
Claude, this actually just changed for me this week, but generally speaking, is a better writer. So if you're looking for good written content, and that changes like weekly, that'll be
Yeah.
true. That won't be true next week, and that'll be true again the following week.
Right. Right. Yeah. So interesting. You're mentioning different industries midway through the conversation. Which ones do you think will be adopting AI faster? You mentioned traders, for instance. I think that's an obvious one, but are there like other ones that come to mind?
I wouldn't say industry, job title, right? So
Mm.
job title, I mentioned one, lawyers for sure. Um, we all are now lawyers with ChatGPT. Like you can go file something in your district court with just a little help of ChatGPT. Marketers. All LLMs produce really well. LLMs were trained on the internet, and the internet is 90% marketing. So of course it's going to be really good at marketing. The problem with that is everything. So it's all noise, but it's all really good noise now. So you have to find a way of coming at it sideways. Other industries, I think, that are going to adopt it. I think the one I think everybody but Google, XAI, Facebook, OpenAI, and Anthropic are way behind. I mean, in Microsoft, everybody else, they're way behind.
Yeah, so it's so interesting. Do you think we should talk a little bit about the skills that you need as an individual in an AI first workplace? Like, we've been talking about how do we get AI in, and then once it's in, once it's being applied, as an individual, as a professional, like, is it just having a conversation? Is it what we talked about? Are there other things that we need to start thinking about? Like, how does your job change, and what kind of skills do you need in this post AI adoption world? Or
What a really interesting question. So I've been thinking a lot about not just thinking about, but having a lot of really great questions on that. With some pretty prominent thought leaders on it. So I'm gonna try to summarize it by saying this. What used to be valuable before the tech era is going to be valuable again. And the things that venture capitalists and anybody that's in the entrepreneurial space cared about 5 years ago is changing. So we used to think that execution was everything. And that's changing now. Sam Altman even said that, the nerd in the garage with ideas but couldn't execute, we used to laugh at that person. And in reality, they have an advantage. If you're an idea factory, you kind of have an advantage now than you didn't have before, because you don't need that technical co-founder anymore. You have one. It's AI. But getting to your specific question, the skills that you need to have, they're communication skills. It's the ability to translate what's in your head to written word or just the spoken word in a way that can be executed to manifest what's in your head. That's just goes back to communication. You need to be eclectic in how you think about the world. You need to be self-aware of your own weaknesses and your own biases. These are not hard skills. I know they're the intangibles, but the intangibles become way. Again, this is just an opinion of one, but I think the intangibles become way more important. I have some my own work to do on my ego and what I think is right and wrong, because AI keeps if I tell it to be a critic and I tell it my opinion, and if I'm really forceful about it, it'll tell me where I'm wrong, and it's hard to hear. But you have to be willing to take that criticism and feedback about your own ideas in order to be really good at leveraging AI.
are universities, training programs, colleges anywhere near starting to make this shift that's necessary for this new future?
Well, I mean, if you look at what's the name of the academy in Texas? What's the name of it? It's a high school that leverages AI to teach all of its students. It's the something academy. Forgive me for not remembering it.
We'll put it in the show notes.
If you Google academy in Texas using AI, it'll come up. And they leverage AI in their training and their tutoring, and they just have
Alpha School, sorry?
That's it. I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Um, and they're seeing massive success, like test scores off the chart.
Hmm.
So, oh, my goodness, what was your original question? I went on that tangent.
Yeah, are universities, training centers, et cetera, starting? Are they anywhere near starting to implement this kind of, what?
Yeah. Thank you. So I came up with one case in which they are, and they're
Yeah.
seeing dramatic success.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see something that you just talked about, where educators are going to be anti-AI because it's a job threat, and the teacher unions are exceptionally strong. So I don't know how that's going to net. I don't know how that's really going to net out in the education system. Certainly in trade schools, yes. Certainly, like the Wiser Method, we have a training course that we just launched. So my bet is that yes, there will be courses that really teach people how to adopt this faster. Um, I'm an optimist, so I tend to think that, like, even Ivy League schools are going to catch on pretty fast and really start to adopt this in a way that is really AI first. But I don't know. I can't predict what they're going to do. We'll see.
Yeah. No, it'll be certainly interesting to see how that shifts. Anthony, I see.
Let me add one more thing to that.
Sure.
Let me ask a question to you in the audience, actually. Should AI be allowed for use with students?
Oh, yeah. I have a reasonably strong perspective on this, and I say absolutely, because if you don't have it within the schools, and it's not something that becomes kind of useful for them, like they're not capable and competent with it in the schools, by the time they're in the work world, uh, they're useless, right? It would be like telling kids, well, no, you can't use a calculator, you can't use the internet, you can't use a computer.
It used to be you couldn't use a calculator.
Yeah. And then you had to spend what was like $120 on a scientific calculator and all this kind of stuff, right? So my look, I have a tech podcast, so I'm very tech positive here. Yeah, I think the more tech in that students are exposed to earlier on, the better it is for them, because they become more competent and capable with it as they enter the workforce. Or
It requires teachers to change how they teach.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think AI becomes an incredibly powerful thought partner and helps you learn faster in the ways that are most comfortable for you. So I 100% agree.
Yeah.
But it requires you to teach different. Like, you can't rely on homework anymore because homework's going to be done by AIs.
Yeah. Which might be a difficult thing. Anthony, I see our time is winding down here. I used to ask, what do you think is really going to happen in the next 10 years? I think 10 years is far too far now. Within the next 2 to 3 years, is there anything that we didn't touch in the discussion that you think that the audience should think about?
Well, we didn't talk anything about physical AI. So FSD, Tesla's full self-driving, that's going to be, we're not going to be, it's similar to the adoption of Uber and how Uber changed the landscape of transportation. FSD and Tesla is going to do the same, and is going to do it faster. And then a couple years after that, the Optimus robot will. But Tesla's not the only one in the space. But I think physical AI is going to change the landscape again dramatically in mostly very positive ways. The hurdle there is consumer trust. So have you asked anybody in your family that's, grandma, mom, mother-in-law, if you ask any of them, would you let a car drive you around? They'd be like, no, I would never trust a car to drive me around. And I'm the exact opposite. I don't know if you are, but I'm like, I'd rather have a car drive me around. It's a lot safer.
Yeah.
So I think the adoption of of physical AI in the physical world is going to take some time, but we're going to see early adoption ramp up pretty quickly in the next couple years. I had another one and I totally it left my brain. I was there.
No worries. We'll cut it out at the very end. Anthony, thank you so much for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I'll have your website and your LinkedIn up on the show notes. Are there any other places that you guys are active that you want people to follow and see what you're up to?
LinkedIn, Wiser, and AI First Principles. Those three would be amazing. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, Anthony, thank you again.
Thank you, Mark.
Well, thanks for listening to this week's Future Tech and Foresight podcast. If you like what you've heard here, there are, of course, a number of ways that you can support the podcast. The best way would be to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or give a rating on Spotify, which you can find a step-by-step explanation for on the futuretechandforesight.com website. Alternatively, feel free to leave a comment either on the episode show notes or the YouTube channel where you can see video recordings of the interviews. And finally, if you are part of an organization that is aware of the disruptive and transformational impact that emerging and future technologies will bring and want to know more, please get in touch to hear about the strategic foresight services that we offer and how we can help future-proof your organization and take advantage of the phenomenal opportunities available to survive and thrive in the future.
A lot of future-shocked people and future-shocked institutions in our society are simply overwhelmed.
Once there is superintelligence, the fate of humanity may depend on what the superintelligence does.
Science fact is catching up to science fiction.
The first truly intelligent machine will be the last invention that humanity needs to make.
The only scarcity that will exist in the future is that which we decide to create ourselves as humans.
Within a 10-year design revolution, we can have all humanity living the highest standard of living anybody's ever known.
Progress is accelerating at an exponential pace, and it's going to reach a point where progress is so fast it's going to be a singularity.
We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens.
Every single headline points to the birth pangs of a Type 1 civilization.